Hello. So, in this talk, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is why does nobody listen to us? And why do people not take your suggestions? And I love this topic because it can be incredibly frustrating when we have the best suggestions for people, or recommendations, or tips, or fixes, and nobody listens. So I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek. I know that sometimes people do listen to us, but if you're like me, there have been plenty of times when I've been really, offering somebody the most bespoke advice, or really the solution to their whatever their problem is, and it's is as if it just bounces off them. So I'll talk about, why does that happen, and what can we do about it? What can we do differently? So there are a couple of things about this. One is I believe that most people have developed a resistance to suggestions. Growing up, uh, we're constantly given advice, we're given suggestions, um, sometimes from our parents, from friends, from school teachers, and a lot of it, you know, we didn't ask for. So you have to get pretty good at keeping things out. And one of my teachers used to have this image of almost a force field around us, that a suggestion comes and it sort of hits the force field and then kind of melts down. Um, but let me break it down a little bit further. The first thing that I look at if somebody isn't taking a suggestion, um, the first thing is to really ask yourself, are they asking for a suggestion or advice? So this is the first gate, I would say. And if they haven't asked either explicitly or implicitly, I would say, that's the time to sort of step back. And so I want to know, are they asking for advice or for help? Um, and and if not, am I, you know am I trying to give advice, for my needs? So, um, a lot of times I'll offer advice, and it's really because it's something that I want them to do for some reason. And it can be a little bit subtle. I can think like, well, clearly this person needs this thing, but when I really check internally, it's because I want them to do that, not necessarily that they want to do that. So that's the first checkpoint, or the first switch is like, are they asking for something? Is there something that they're trying to achieve or trying to fix? And if not, I would stop right then. The second thing is, if they are asking, um, does your suggestion kind of fit into their model of the world, or fit into what they really want? So, and again, this is where it gets a little bit subtle. Let's say somebody says, I want to get in shape. And you're like, oh, I got this one. Go work out every day, 3 hours. Now, they may want to get in shape, but they may not want to work out. So I would say your suggestion is modeling their intention, that they've said they want to get in shape, but it's not fitting their model of the world, which is they don't want to work out 2 or 3 hours a day, or they may not even want to work out 10 minutes a day. So if your suggestion doesn't fit their model, or you could call it a competing commitment, is a coaching term that people use. So part of them wants to get in shape, but there's definitely a part of them that doesn't want to exercise, and those create what's called a competing commitment, or a push pull within their system, and therefore they're not going to want to take your suggestion. Now, if that's the case, if you found a way where they could get in shape that, honored their lack of desire to work out, then they would be off and running, and then they would be likely to take in your suggestion. Um, so the other thing is along the lines of speaking to their model of the world. In a certain way, you have to speak their language. Um, you know, it's like if the person is if the person is a musician, you may want to create your suggestion in such a way that it resonates with the metaphor of music, so that you're speaking their language in essence. So if your suggestion is, you're coming in with a sports metaphor, but they're in the arts, they may not take your suggestion. So that's another way in which you want to match their model of the world, and speak their language. um, so again, to reiterate, the first thing and really the most important is, have they asked for help, or are they trying to achieve a goal? Because if they're not, it's not their desire, it's your desire to help them, which is, it's well-meaning, um, but it needs to fit their goal, and then it needs to fit their model of the world, and it has to honor any sort of competing commitments. Now, if those things are in place, you're much more likely to have them take on a direct suggestion. And by a direct suggestion, what I mean is just saying to them, hey, you should try this out. Now, even with all those things in place, very often people may still resist a suggestion. And in that case, that's that's pretty much the reason that coaching came into being. And what I mean by that is, coaching, or a lot of schools of coaching, are based on the idea of not making sort of a direct suggestion, but instead asking questions that might bring the person to make that discovery, or that path, discover that path through their own inquiry. And in that way, the what you're suggesting is coming from within them. And so there's no resistance to that. If the idea came from them, then they're much more likely to take it on. So instead of saying, like, you should go to this part of town, you actually walk with the person, and you walk them there through questioning and through helping them expand the range of options that they're looking for. So I hope this has been helpful. I would say the main takeaway that I would recommend is, reflect on several times when you've tried to make a suggestion and it hasn't sort of landed, and ask yourself that first question: did they ask for help, or were they, did they want to achieve a goal or solve a problem, and did they express that to you in some way, either explicitly by asking for help, or implicitly, maybe just speaking to the situation. And if they didn't, I would pretty much look for other alternatives of making a suggestion. And I would also, check again with your own desire to make a suggestion. Is the desire because you want them to take that on, or is your desire aligned with wanting to help them? So hope you find these useful, and would love to hear about how it goes.